Well, if you guys see the mess behind me, go ahead and excuse that because we sold the house. We are going to be moving. So, therefore, over maybe the next couple of weeks, you guys are going to see a little bit of shuffling, a little bit of a mess, and then hopefully, eventually, you guys will see us in a new place for a couple months and then permanently a new house for hopefully maybe 10 years at least. So, wish us luck on that. But today we are here to talk about the Oklahoma Sooners recruiting because today I checked into the 247 Sports and Devon Mitchell has gotten his rating from the 247 rankings, now has his 247 composite ranking for the 2024 class. And the Oklahoma Sooners have those commitments coming up, and we need to talk about it, dive into just some things that you're hearing around the industry, kind of give our reaction to it, and give you guys all an update. But before we dive into it, guys, go ahead and hit that like, hit the subscribe button, jump down in the comments below, and let me know what y'all's thoughts are. Because today we have an announcement coming up from Casey Poe, and I think this is where we'll start since I just brought it up. And Casey Poe is expected to announce his commitment today at about 6 o'clock. And in all due honesty, guys, I expect Casey Poe to be part of the Alabama Crimson Tide's class for the 2024 cycle. Now, I'm not going to lie, at the beginning of the cycle, everybody thought Casey Poe was trending really well to Oklahoma. We've had him here on the podcast. I would have told you he was trending well to Oklahoma. But listen, it's Alabama and Nick Saban. They make strides. And ultimately, Casey Poe's got some legacy ties to Alabama. And if you can have two basically family members play for two Alabama greats, you're probably going to take that opportunity. And it looks like that's what Casey Poe is doing. So, in all honesty, I expect Casey Poe to be a Alabama Crimson Tide member tonight. But you never know. It's recruiting. Anything can happen. Casey Poe could be playing this a little bit closer to the vest than we all think. And maybe he's trying to throw a lot of people off. And maybe Oklahoma is the pick. I'm not sure. But it would be a big win for Nick Saban. It would be a big win for the staff. And if Oklahoma is able to land it out of a miracle, that would just be absolutely incredible. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that one. And I want to hear from your guys' thoughts about the offensive lineman Casey Poe making his commitment tonight, what you guys think about it. But let's go ahead and talk about Devon Mitchell. So Devon Mitchell ended up committing Saturday, and a lot of people were wondering where he would be ranked in the 247 rankings and what his composite ranking would look like. And as I logged on to 247 Sports, I noticed that that ranking has officially came out, and Devon Mitchell is now the fifth ranked tight end in the 2024 class, according to the 247 composite rankings, the number 68th player overall, and a 4-star player. And I know people will start freaking out because, well, you had a 5-star, now you don't have a 5-star. And it's going to be okay because you guys got to remember, and Parker and Brandon have made these points, and I think they're very good points, which is he's younger, playing with older guys, and so you have to, and like, I guess I can't think of the word, but you guys know what I'm saying. Compare him to the 2024 kids, and yeah, there's going to be a gap. But if Devon Mitchell goes out there and has an excellent senior season, then you would expect he's going to continue to climb through those rankings. And it really just might be Devon Mitchell putting up a little bit more speed, right? If he can get a little bit more speed on his time, Devon Mitchell be a 5-star right away. So 247 actually has him ranked as the number 85th player overall and the number 7th player at the tight end position, but the composite rankings have him a little higher. And you guys know the composite rankings are pretty well indication of a player's true talent and abilities in terms of their rankings across all of the industry sites. So Devon Mitchell, at his announcement for his commitment, announced that he was going to be going after the defensive lineman. And not too long after, we got a announcement from, or well, not really an announcement, but an update from Steve Wiltfong, basically hinting at, hey, there's a chance Williams Nwaneri shutting this down on August 1st, which is great for Oklahoma because you have the party at the Palace coming up, which, talking a little bit about some of the people we expect to see at the party at the Palace, Oklahoma is going to be in good shape because you, with the Sooners under the stars a couple days before, are getting Isaiah Mosey, Kamori Moore on campus. So you feel pretty good that if they're going to be on campus, that Williams Nwaneri would follow to be on campus for the party at the Palace, right? And then not to mention, for the 2024 class for party, you're expecting potentially Terry Bussey, Danny Okoye, Josh Asosa, who is the 3-star offensive lineman that just recently got the offer from Oklahoma, which kind of gives you the writing on the wall that, hey, if they're throwing that offer out, they're potentially losing out on maybe like an Eddie Pierre-Louis or somebody like that. So it might not be the year we thought it would be on the offensive line, but it'll be okay. But going back to the defensive line, because Devon Mitchell talked about it and talked about wanting to get these guys committed in this class, priority target, David Stone. When's that commitment going to drop? And I think a lot of people saying, hey, maybe July, maybe August. It's probably not going to drag out a little bit past August because there's a good chance that David Stone wants to get this wrapped up before his senior season. And so if you're able to get a David Stone and a Williams Nwaneri and let's say a Zena Yumio Azulu, because yes, as low as everybody else was on them earlier in the cycle, guys, I still like Zena. I still want him to be a part of this class, and I think Oklahoma can still land him because Miguel Chavis is just a great recruiter in general, and ultimately, I think the staff could put together a pitch to get Zena to University of Oklahoma and basically take him out of the grasps of the Texas Longhorns' hands. Now, the question is Jaden Jackson. And Devon Mitchell, if he was going to go after Jaden Jackson, needed to get to work really quickly because Jaden Jackson, it seemed like a top 4 looked like Texas, Miami, Ohio State, and Oklahoma. And recently, over the past couple days, a lot of you have told me Jaden Jackson is a Ohio State and Texas lean. Those are the 2 schools you got to watch out for. And I'm here to tell you, not so fast, because Jaden Jackson has talked about wanting to play with David Stone. And there are 2 schools that are really in the mix for David Stone that are pretty much in that top 4. And it's going to be Miami and Oklahoma. And Oklahoma just won a Miami battle with Devon Mitchell. So, hear me out here. Oklahoma has Devon Mitchell. Devon Mitchell makes the pitch to Jaden Jackson, explains to him why you shouldn't go to Miami, why you shouldn't take that bag, and why you should come to play for the University of Oklahoma. Not to mention, you have David Stone, and David Stone's looking at coming to Oklahoma. Now, all of a sudden, you got another card in your pocket. And I'm sure David Stone and Devon Mitchell have talked. Let's be honest, they probably have talked. Now, the question is David Stone going to Miami? And if Jaden Jackson goes to Miami, probably going to be watching that situation a little bit more closer because David Stone has visited Miami several times over the past couple of months. But ultimately, if you're Oklahoma and you're looking at a defensive line class, and I know we've talked about this and we've entertained this idea so much, and I know you guys are probably tired of hearing about it. And at this point, you're like, Preston, we just want to see these dang results. I get it. I want to see the results too. But sometimes it's just patience. And if you're patient enough, maybe it's going to be better than you thought. But let's just say this class, the defensive line class, consists of Williams Nwaneri, David Stone, Jaden Jackson. I still do not waver on Nigel Smith. I know some of you guys jumped in the comments on the last video about it. I still like Nigel Smith to Oklahoma. That has not wavered, but the commitment's not till September on his senior night during the third home game. So Nigel Smith is just so far out right now that it's like I'm not there on really just pushing it. You guys know my take. You guys know I like Nigel. Haven't wavered on that. I still think he can be a part of this class. So Nigel Smith, David Stone, Williams Nwaneri, Jaden Jackson, Zena Yumio Zulu, and Wyatt Gilmore. That's your defensive line class. Let's just say that's potential possible. With what you have now, no additional recruits. You're looking at a 243.83 composite score if the class ended today, and all you did was add those defensive linemen. But then you look at some of the other guys that you're looking at adding, like maybe a Zion Raggins, a Taylor Tatum, a Caden Durham. Let's say you get a Josh Asosa. Let's see here. Let's say you get, I don't know, that Daniel, the other offensive lineman, the one that we just did an interview with. Let's say you get him. Plugging this all into the class calculator right now so that we can give you guys a kind of like a live look at what I'm looking at and kind of what my thoughts are here, so that you guys can get a better. And let's say you land Andy Bass, right? I think Oklahoma probably tries to go after Andy Bass a little bit. Um, Oklahoma's got a potential of good class here, guys. I mean, that's really what this is coming down to. Offensive tackle position or offensive line position. I still take the idea that if Oklahoma lands David Stone, maybe you get put in a position to where you can go after a Jordan Seaton, who is also teammates with David Stone at IMG Academy, just on the opposite side of the ball. So Jordan Seaton has to go against David Stone every day. And yeah, that's kind of my thoughts here. Like, I think the defensive line is the dominoes to fall for this class to really get it going. And I think with cornerback position, you're going to see the same thing. Like, I think when you see the defensive line chips start to fall, you'll start to see some of these cornerback targets start to fall, like a Devon Jordan and an Eli Bowen. And we already know that Michael Patterson McDonald, who is going to be a safety, has already got his date set. So if you're Oklahoma, you're feeling pretty good about it. Oh, and by the way, on the offensive line, totally didn't mention this, but I should have. Grant Bricks. I mean, not any of the insiders really, I feel like, know what's going on in that recruitment because Grant Bricks doesn't really talk to a lot of people. And I feel like with that recruitment, he's kept it close to the vest. And so if you're anybody, I think you still favor Oklahoma and their strength and conditioning program because from Parker Thune, that sounds like that's what's important to Grant Bricks. So you add, let's say, Eugene Brooks, Grant Bricks, Josh Sosa, Daniel Akakanumi. You have Andy Bass, Eli Bowen, Devon Jordan, Michael Patterson McDonald. Puts you at about 28 commits at a 264.3 composite score. That'd give you 3 5-stars. So you'd have David Stone, Williams Winery, Taylor Tatum. And we're not even potentially looking at guys like Dominic McKinley, maybe a Terry Bussey, maybe a Kobe Black. Because again, like, I really do think if you're Oklahoma and you get these defensive linemen, you create that hype around what Oklahoma is doing on the defensive side of the ball, then yes, like, I think you put yourself back into conversation for a guy like Kobe Black, who has a good relationship with Jay Valai and probably has a relationship with David Stone at some level because it seems like David Stone talks to everybody. And I'm not saying Oklahoma is going to go 3 for 3 on those guys. In fact, I think it's probably more likely that Oklahoma doesn't land any of them than landing one of them, right? Just because Dominic McKinley is still so far out. And although I feel like Oklahoma is the leader and I feel really good about Oklahoma in that recruitment, if we have to wait till January for a commitment date for Dominic McKinley, I don't expect Oklahoma to be the pick. Now, if we get into December and Oklahoma's still the leader and LSU has not really made up any ground, then yes, I think we're talking about a completely different scenario at that point. And Terry Bussey, you've got to go up against Texas A&M. And Texas A&M looks like they're trying to go after offensive guys. They did it 2 years ago on the defensive side of the ball. Now they're doing it on the offensive side of the ball this year. And so if Terry Bussey ends up at Texas A&M, then that leaves Kobe Black. And Kobe Black seems to have been trending to the Texas Longhorns for a while. And although he has a good relationship with Jay Valai, I think you really have to gain some momentum with David Stone, Williams Winery, Dominic McKinley for Kobe Black, I think, to really give Oklahoma in some serious consideration here. But let's say in a perfect world, you land the David Stones and the Williams Wineries and the Taylor Tatums because we're just going to have fun here. That gives you 31 commits at a 285.79 composite score. Now, I do want to say this. I'm saying composite score. I don't understand the new class calculator for 247 Sports because it's showing their 247 rankings, not the composite rankings. And so, I would like to get a little bit more clarity on that because 31 commits, I feel like would put Oklahoma into, well, I think it would put them in probably top 3 class in the country because there's no way that Oklahoma is going to be at 285.79 and still be number 3. I mean, when Florida's at number 3 right now at 270.27, which Florida's class, by the way, guys, has just been absolutely incredible. And Ohio State at number 2, I think it's going to be really hard for Oklahoma to catch them because they're potentially looking at another 2 to 3 5-star defensive linemen in that class. So, but Oklahoma has an opportunity to really burst onto the scene with this class. And hear me out. I mean, you look at next year, 2024, first year in the SEC, you're going to have sophomore Jackson Arnold. And then in 2025, he'll be a junior, which at that time, David Stone, Williams Nwaneri, those guys will be sophomores. And then when Jackson Arnold and that class is seniors with PJ Adebayo, then you have David Stone, Williams Nwaneri as juniors. You could be talking about in 2026, based off these two classes that Oklahoma's had, being one of the most dominant teams in college football. Especially since right now, Oklahoma's blue chip ratio is like over 70%. And to win a national championship, they say you got to have about a 2/3 blue chip ratio on your team. The Oklahoma Sooners are getting there. So right now I look at these recruiting updates and I look at the Zina Yumio Azulus and I say, I like Oklahoma there. I look at it and I go, David Stone, Williams Nwaneri, I like Oklahoma in both of those recruitments. Dominic McKinley, Oklahoma for now, but in January I think it changes. Oklahoma's class, this class, could be the defining moment on whether or not Oklahoma wins a national championship in the next 3 or 4 years. And I'm telling you now, if Jaden Jackson ends up at the University of Oklahoma before David Stone, fans are going to start going crazy. And I know y'all have been calling me crazy for weeks. Not hot taking it out here, guys. Telling you how I truly feel. So go ahead, hit that like, hit the subscribe button, jump down in the comments below, guys. Let me know what y'all's thoughts are. Want to hear from you guys. Know this has been a little bit of a longer video. Apologize for the mess behind me, guys. I am moving, so please bear with me over the next couple of months as we work on some adjustments. But guys, go ahead, jump down in the comments below, hit the like, and hit that subscribe button.